gonna share with you 10 tips. These are not in any order specifically, but 10 tips that I have and that I use every single time before I sit down and record a YouTube video like I'm doing with you right now. All right, so you are here because you want to know some simple tips that are going to help you get your first YouTube video recorded and hopefully following YouTube videos. After you record your first YouTube video, you're going to figure out what you like, what you don't like, what you might want to change, what you might want to do next time, all of that, so that for future YouTube videos that you create, you're ready to go and you have a flow and a system. Now, before we dive into these, I want to just make it very clear that these are not going to be anything earth-shattering or things you've never heard of or maybe even never thought of. However, there are gonna be 10 things that I'm giving you right now that you can either jot down and take notes. You can create step-by-step checklist every single time you sit down to record a video. This could be part of your checklist, or you could trial and error and see which of these things are something that even really works for you or what doesn't, because everyone on YouTube is different. Everyone's gonna come in with a different style and different values, different things that they want to do and bring to the table when it comes to YouTube video creation. And these are just a few tips that I want to share with you. And even if you just get one idea from this, if I share one out of these 10 with you that you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that, then I have done my job and I will be super proud. So make sure to let me know in the comments below if there is a tip or multiple tips that you hadn't thought of, but that are going to be super helpful for you as you begin your YouTube creating journey. All right, so let's dive right into it. Tip number one is pretty simple. Have an idea for whatever it is that you're wanting to create a video on. If we're going to take some time to sit down and record ourselves, let's have an idea of what the heck it is that we're even thinking about doing or what we're gonna talk about, right? So tip number two, we're going to create an outline. Now, you may not be the type of person like I am who likes to make the checklist and make the itinerary and all of those things, but an outline can be whatever you want it to be. It could just be a few bullet points that kind of help keep you on track, or it could be a more typed out detailed thing. I do enjoy a little bit more detail simply because I am someone, I can get really excited when I'm talking and then I can go off on these tangents and then all of a sudden I'm like, what was I talking about again? So in order to avoid that, I like to make an outline that just has bullet points, but they're like full-on sentences. And sometimes if I have specific examples that I want to make sure and give in the video that I'm recording, I go ahead and put that in parentheses behind my bullet point. I like to include an intro, my tips or my steps or whatever it might be, and then a conclusion. That is my personal flow. You might be somebody who just wants to jump right into it. You don't want an intro, you don't want a conclusion. Maybe you want to do other things with yours too. Whatever that might be, my encouragement and my tip number two for you is to definitely create that outline just to keep you on track so that you are creating a valuable piece of information. The information that you're trying to come on and share with this YouTube video in the first place gets across, and you don't get to the end of your video and you're like, did I even get my point across? We don't want that. You don't want to waste anybody's time. If somebody's going to take the time to come to your video and watch, you want to make sure and deliver whatever the title of that video is or whatever it did to get that person to click on that video in the first place. You want to make sure that you're delivering. Just like me with you right now, I want to make sure that I'm delivering these tips to you very clear, very concise, but also in a fun, engaging, and exciting way because I get to share something, I get to teach you something, which is what I love to do. Tip number three is utilize good lighting. So if you can tell right now, I have some pretty good lighting coming at me. I have two big, beautiful windows sitting right in front of me, and I make sure to record my videos when I have that lighting. Now, if you don't have an opportunity to be recording midday, maybe you work all day and you're wanting to start this YouTube channel or create these YouTube videos, but by the time you're getting home, at least in the winter months, it gets darker a lot earlier in the day, so you may not have any sunlight to work with. So if that's the case, don't fret, you can still make this happen. I highly recommend getting some daylight light bulbs and just a simple lamp. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but get some sort of a lamp, put that daylight light bulb in it that can give you the feel of a natural light setting without having the natural light. So whether you have the daylight to work with or you have some daylight light bulbs, that would be my tip. Now, you may not like the daylight light bulbs, maybe you like the more yellow tone of the yellow light bulbs. Go for that then. Whatever you want to do, but don't feel like just because you can't record in daylight that you're out and you can't record your videos. Okay, so tip number 4, find a space that you can record your videos in. So right now I am sitting at my desk. I have my computer right here in front of me. The camera is sitting here on the edge of my desk and I'm just sitting here. My suggestion when it comes to finding this space is to try to have something that's not too cluttered or too distracting as far as the background goes. Now, obviously you can see that I'm in my office setting. I've got a printer here in the background. I have my office plant here. I've got a calendar on the wall. I've got some highlighters, my mouse, I've got a lamp, you know, so I have office type things, but it makes sense because I'm sitting in my office to be here. However, if I had a load of laundry sitting behind me with a bunch of dirty laundry in it, that might be a little bit more distracting. I do personally like a more simple background, even though I'm not necessarily showing it to you right now, but figure out what your preference is. Depending on the kind of video that you're recording, you may need a busier background depending on what you're talking about. Or if you're talking about something that's really like chill and calm or whatever that might be, then try to have a background that kind of matches that. Or in the event that you're not having a sit down video like we're having right now, maybe you're recording all kinds of different things outside, inside, whatever that might be, then your background's gonna change up based on what it is that you're recording. But in the event that it's a sit down video, I do recommend having a less distractive and less busy background if it just doesn't make sense for the video that you're recording. Okay, tip number 5 is to get your whole head in the shot. So this might sound silly and you may be like, duh, but I'm telling you, I have watched lots of YouTube videos where people's heads have been like up here, you can barely see their eyes, or, you know, really low, or they're super zoomed in, or whatever it might be. And while that's okay, it's not the end of the world if that happens, I do feel like it's a better experience for the audience if they can get a full view of you, because otherwise they're like, why is her forehead cut off? Like, what's going on up there? Why can't we see that? You know, so get a nice full view of your head. You don't have to get your legs in it, but definitely try to get your whole head in it, especially if it's going to be a talking video. Now again, this goes to if you're recording something else that isn't you sitting down and talking, this is going to be a tip that may be null and void for you. But if it is going to be a sit down video, maybe shoulders up or something, but don't crop your head out in any way unless, again, that is part of the video that you're creating. My next tip for you, I believe this is tip number 6, is to smile. Be happy, be energetic, show your audience that you're excited to be there. I promise you, people want to watch someone that is more excited and happy and energetic, and that is contagious versus someone who comes on and is like monotone and just blah and dull and whatever. The whole point of you creating this video is so that people will watch it, right? So bring some excitement and some joy to it so that people will continue watching, because if it's a boring video, they're probably gonna click off pretty quickly, and that's the last thing that you want after you've put all this time and energy and effort creating it. Okay, tip number 7 is show up ready. And what I mean by that is whatever ready means to you, but show up ready to film. So if you're gonna sit down and record a video, or if you're going to stand up and record a video, depending on the type of video that you're recording, be ready for it. Don't just roll out of bed and be groggy still and like one eye is open and you can barely function or whatever and then record the video. Show up ready, mind, body, soul, to do the work. Because again, we are creating these YouTube videos so that we can provide either entertainment or education or information to those that are going to watch it. So take some time, have respect for those who are taking the time to click on this video, and give them value, which shows that you showed up for it, you prepared for it, and you took time to actually care about what it is that you're providing and how you are providing it. So again, you don't have to get all dolled up or anything like that, and depending on the type of video, you may never even be in the video, but get your mind right. Show up ready to record the video that you're about to create so that it's something worth creating and it's something that the audience is going to get something out of. Tip number 8, remind yourself, why do you want this? Why do you even want to create this YouTube video or this YouTube channel in the first place? If you're clear on that, it's going to help you create these videos and have the energy and have the excitement and smile and be organized and be excited for what it is that you get to do. Tip number 9, this might be a weird one, but it's hydrating. Hydrating your mouth, but also hydrating your lips. So my tips with this are to get a drink of water and then also to put some chapstick on, because the last thing that you want is to have a dry mouth or dry lips as you're sitting here trying to do all of this talking. And my final tip, tip number 10, is just to hit record. Don't overthink it. Don't look at yourself in your reflection if you're using a camera that faces you. Don't sit here and pick yourself apart and tear yourself apart. Just hit record, use the outline, use everything that you have put together and taken the time to do so that you can record this video that you've wanted to record. I had to finally just tell myself that we're just gonna do it. After over 2 years of wanting to do this but not actually taking action on it, I finally just hit record and I did the dang thing, and I'm so glad that I did. You're not gonna be perfect at first. Practice and just show up and continue to learn and grow. Just like I said with these 10 tips, you may take these 10 tips and utilize some of them. You may come up with some tips of your own. You may find that some of these tips aren't relevant to you. No matter what though, you're never gonna figure that out if you don't just start, if you don't just hit record. So that's my final tip for you. So let's wrap this up. Those are the 10 tips that I have for you when it comes to creating your first YouTube video and your following videos. Again, take this with a grain of salt. Maybe you already knew all of these tips. Maybe you already knew some of these tips, but if I could have shared at least one tip with you that you hadn't thought of, or that you're like, ooh, I wanna make sure I remember that when I'm creating my first video, I have done my job here and I've served you in the way that I hoped that I could have. So if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you have any questions about further YouTube creation or anything like that, I'm still very new to this. I'm only a couple of months into my journey, but it has been a blast and I have learned so much. And I feel like right now is the time that I really need to capitalize on sharing about my YouTube journey and starting and what I've learned and the tips that I use as a brand new YouTuber, so that I can have it fresh on my brain and I can deliver that and share that with others who are ready to start this journey for themselves. Also keep in mind, you can keep this as simple or as detailed as you like. These are just tips that I have, and this is no one way or the highway. I am just one person with one idea, one thought process that I wanted to come on here and share with you. I want to also remind you that creating a YouTube video is something that you get to do. You don't have to create a video. You don't have to start a channel. You don't have to utilize any of these tips. You get to do these things. So remind yourself that when you are getting all caught up in your anxiety and you're stressed out about it and you're just worried that it's not going to be perfect, you don't have to do this. You get to do this. And it's not going to ever be perfect. There are going to be mistakes. YouTubers that have been around for years and years still make mistakes, and they'll admit that, but you can also watch their videos and see that. And honestly, it just makes them seem like they're human, and we are. After all, we are just humans, and we are here doing the best that we can, trying to serve others. That is the point that we're here, to be a part of this world and serve others while we're here. And I think my final tip is I just wanted to encourage you to have fun. I have had so much fun in the last couple of months of me starting this YouTube journey and starting my YouTube channel finally, and I would have never had that fun, or I would have never realized how much I enjoy doing this if I hadn't just started, if I hadn't just hit record. So that is my biggest tip for you, is to have fun doing this. Remember why you're wanting to do this and just go for it. Just go for it. I am here to support you. I'm here to encourage you. Please comment below anything that you have. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.